2, 1.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Dirt Sliders Podcast. We're just a group of friends who get together and discuss dirt track racing. We have Razz Barlow, Neilden Roundy Miller, Shane Sexton, Thomas Soper, Brandon Jacina, John Bridger, and myself, Phil Comfer. We don't claim to be experts. We just like to sit down and have a great discussion. Hope you enjoy it. So grab your favorite cold drink, a good snack, strap in, and hang on for the ride.
Cool. Sugar Shane is recovering from his 21st birthday celebration. He says he's working, but I doubt the veracity of that.
We should probably give a shout out to the old guy up in the corner too. Phil's birthday was last week, and
Neilden's was this week, right?
Yeah.
Was it your 21st too?
25th. That's why I'm here with my drink, not
Yeah.
nursing my liver.
Hey, it was the 34th anniversary of my 21st birthday.
I'm not doing math anymore.
Yeah.
something
You
like
never
half
could
a
do
century or something.
Yeah, I'm just old as dirt. So since this is episode 1, we're going to do a little bio thing, basically introduce everybody, go through what their history in racing is, what brought all of us together. We're going to start with John Bridger. Tell us about yourself, John.
So I'm not the oldest in the group. I'm 52 right now, but so I've been into racing for for a few years. Started off when I was a kid. My dad was big into watching like off-road, Baja 1000, that kind of stuff. We ended up supporting some off-road teams for a while. And my first real experience behind the wheel was 2015. I did NASCAR racing experience at Fontana, which is no longer here, but got hooked on that, going 150 miles an hour. Then I decided I needed a race car. So I got myself a little enduro car for Irwindale, did some enduro racing, figure eights, skid plates where you take the back wheels off your front wheel car and drive on ice for a few laps. And that got me hooked for good. Then I finally made it out to Verona here in San Diego. And actually, the John Isabella, dwarf car driver here in Verona, brought his car out to the stands. And I said, hey, that looks like a lot of fun. Bought myself a old dwarf car and had a race car. At that point, I needed some stuff for that. So this kind of goes into how I met this group of crazy people, for lack of a better word. My wife actually put out on Facebook that I needed, help. I'm a new dwarf car driver, and Razz and Phil and Neilden, they all said, "Hey, we like helping racers. Come on up to the shop we have." It was in Carlsbad at the time. Got some old tires. They helped me out. You don't know what you don't know about a race car till somebody tells you that knows a lot more about it. But they helped me, and ever since then we became friends. That was late 2019, last half of 2019. Since then, I have raced a dwarf car for a couple of years. But if you could see me full screen, I don't fit in a dwarf car very well at all. Phil can attest to that. But Brandon Jacina actually gave me a hell of a deal on his old Pearce stock when he got another one. And so now that's me, the old 32 there, racing the Pearce stock. Been doing that for the last couple of years, having a lot of fun. Haven't done anything significant in it yet. Been working on it myself, mostly till into last year, this year. I got John Tuttle from JT Motorsports and Fabrication helping me out. Again, you don't know what you don't know. So he's got the engine running, got me set up good, and having a good time. Basically now I'm just looking to get my first heat win, main win. I've been running top tens most of the season so far, so doing good and having fun. That's my goal in racing, is get out there and have fun, race clean.
There was a delay in unloading that car off the trailer because Phil and I were discussing whether or not we needed tetanus shots before we touched that car.
We
Right.
did go get that in the shots.
No, that was the good car. The Camaro was the
No, that
tetanus
was
shot.
no, that was the car that when Phil and I were pushing it off the trailer into the shop, it kept thumping because somebody hit a big rock in a field. Drive shaft was bent AF. I think Phil took it to Oceanside Drive Shaft and got it straightened out or got me a new one made. Yeah, it wasn't the great car, but it was fun. It was a start. And like I say, you don't know what you don't know until somebody who knows more tells you.
Hey, speaking of that
Didn't we
dwarf
go
car,
through-
did you put that thing upside down at the end of the front straightaway after the checkered flag?
It only went over 3/4. It was on its roof for a second, but I was hauling butt when I hit the wall.
Yeah.
I know I was hauling ass because it sure hurt when I hit that wall. All right, Soper, what about you?
Oh, I'm 32 years old, probably the youngest one in the group outside of Shane. Um, First racing exposure, I grew up with my dad at the racetrack from a very young age, 4 or 5 years old. Grew up, he raced for 10, 15 years, and we moved away and we ended up having to do some other things. And when I got out here to San Diego with the Navy, uh, my wife had told me that while I was on deployment, she had gone to a dirt track. So I was like, hey, let's go to a dirt track and go see if we can meet some people.
You're welcome.
That's where I met Brandon Jacina. And with Brandon Jacina comes along Phil and Razz and Neilden and everybody else, John, all them people.
But I'm the reason your wife went to the track.
Come to find out, the reason why my wife had gone to the dirt track was she had a friend who knew another Cassie, Neilden's wife, and they went to go watch Neilden and Phil race. That happened to be the night I believe that Phil's car caught on fire, though. I think
Motor
But-
shoe and
Plausible.
the motor went up. Yep. So I ended up. COVID happened in 2020. I bought an old Caprice that actually Phil and Roy, a good buddy of ours, were building to do a track day car. Roy ended up moving to Pennsylvania, and I bought the car from Roy, finished it.
North
and then
Carolina.
Was it North Carolina?
Yeah.
So then we started racing 2021 after COVID. That was my first full season of racing that car. Ran it until about a month and a half ago, and then I bought a sport mod. And I've been running a sport mod for the last month and a half. Got 4 races under my belt. We finished second the last time out in the car. So goals for me would be to get that final the main feature win, and then do some traveling. Got that IMCA sport mod. I get the opportunity to travel all over the country and go do some cool things. Hopefully one of these days we can take a trip out towards Texas, go get Phil, Kentucky, and go see old Razz and go from there. Had a lot of mentors throughout my time. All these guys sitting here with us, they've all mentored me in one way or another. I've got old racing buddies from my dad's days that reach out to me and give me advice. And I think that's what this whole thing is about. It's just a family and helping each other and having fun while we're doing it.
Yeah, you're looking fast in that modified already. It's you're 3 races in?
Yeah,
3
3
weekends,
weekends in.
4 races.
Yep.
Okay. Brandon Jacina,
Oh God, here we go.
the man, the myth, the legend.
That's it. But you can tell by the beard, I'm the most interesting man in the group here. Anyways, I'm originally from Iowa, so I grew up at Marshalltown Speedway, which is on a lot of people's bucket list. That was my very first exposure to dirt track racing. The neighbor guy down the street had a modified when I was a kid, and I thought it was the coolest thing I could ever possibly see in my lifetime. His son never wanted to go to the racetrack, but on Friday nights, I'd load up with his grandpa and pull his dad's car to the racetrack, and there we were. Let's see. Started anything with wheels and a motor, I was driving it at a young age. My mom would let me shift the gears in our Chevy Cavalier. I'd be sitting in the back seat. I'd reach up and shift the lever on the Cavalier. So got into liking cars at a young age. Joined the Navy, and I was like, man, there's no dirt tracks. And I seen them modified on a trailer and followed that thing up the hill around all these windy turns. I was like, where in the heck is this guy going? He hangs a left, and sure enough, we're at a racetrack. Well, there we are. We found us a dirt track, Brona Speedway. that night they brung cars behind the stands at intermission. The guy I followed up the hill had his car down there, so I went to talk to him. That was the world famous Thornton Jr. in the 24 modified. He had an old Harris car at the time. I happen to know a lot of guys in the Midwest and Harris chassis out of Boone, Iowa. Made some phone calls, got him some setup help, and started helping the guy. His sister Diane had a pure stock that was sitting at Mike Pridgeon's house. He's my engine builder, Mike Pridgeon Race Engines. She said, "Hey, you interested in driving this thing?" Well, of course, I'm interested in driving this thing. 70 Chevelle from Cajon. It was white and pink. Went and picked that thing up. Mike Pridgeon said it was sitting there for several years. Poured a little gas in the carburetor. She fired up. We put it on the trailer and drug it to the house. Ran that for about 2 races and ended up in a Camaro. Had some fun in the Camaro. Got my first heat race win in the Camaro. That's where I met Phil Confer. For whatever reason, I liked that guy. A lot of people at the track, for whatever reason, didn't like that guy in the dwarf cars, but I did because he was always right there. Phil's the guy that was always in contention, not necessarily winning the race, but everybody knew he was there. And I kept pestering him. I said, "Dude, when you go help me out? When are we going to hang out?" Eventually he said, "You know what? You need help. Bring that car up to Carlsbad." And then the bald headed guy, Razz, was there. And man,
On my screen, I'm over here.
oh, on my screen you're
On my screen,
directly
he's up
below
there.
me. Well, you're all over the place, but on my screen you're below me, so I pointed down. Anyhow, Razz was there. Neilden, I ended up meeting that guy because he was the mastermind behind Phil's operation there. Let me touch my nose so I don't owe myself a beer. Looks like Soper owes me a beer. That's
Soper.
cool. I'll
There you
collect that
go.
on Saturday. Anyways, that's how I met these guys. I got the car I have now, which is the metric G body car. I got out of the car that Bridger has now, and that guy needed to get him in a pure stocking out of that dwarf car. So the first bit, we threw a motor and transmission in that car, and I just let him drive it. Then I eventually sold it to him for probably the lowest you'll ever find a pure stock. And now we're having a bunch of fun because JT, John Tuttle Motorsports and Fabrication has got both of the cars running good. It's actually fun that we're actually battling Soper over here. Uh, Battled with him a couple times in a couple of heat races. It's always fun when we can flip each other off, wave at each other. We've gotten real good at that.
I've got some video of you taking me out. I'm just saying.
As a matter of fact, I got a main event win last year, and we're coming up on the memorial race for that this year. The Bob and Josh Thompson Memorial Race at Verona Speedway. That was my first main event, credited to me last year. So hopefully we run that back.
And a little bit of announcing too, huh?
Oh, so yeah, I do what they call fill-in announcing duties at for Verona. I've did a couple announcing jobs down at Cocoa Paw Speedway with Speedy Bill down there. Um, People tend to like me on the microphone because I talk a lot, if you couldn't tell. Um, but I definitely don't want to give up a race car to go announcing full time just yet. Eventually, when I get to look like these guys with the white faces, maybe I'll give it up and start announcing.
Yeah, Grecian is your friend, guys.
And you know what? I gave up.
Didn't notice.
Yielded. Lay it on me, brother.
So my racing background starts back in Ocala, Florida, what now is Bubba's Speedway. I think they're calling it now.
Bubba Speedway, yep.
Yep. The house we lived at had big glass panes on either side of the front door. My mom comes in one day. "You see that race car on the road?" "No." "Go look." Look out the window, see nothing. Go back. "You're lying." "Nope, there went again." "All right, I'll go right over there again." Look, nothing. My neighbor across the street had what we out here call a lightning sprint. And he was tuning the carburetors, that's how long ago it was, up and down the strip on the house. Finally go out there to see him. I'm 8 years old, 9 years old, something like that. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Race car ripping down the road, turning around, ripping back. It's 50 feet in front of me. Go over and I am just a sponge. What can I do to help you? I'm that annoying kid now that I'm an adult. So what can I do? What can I hand you? What wrench do you want? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? Why? Don't know how Rob kept his composure, but for some reason he took me under his wing and was his crew guy for many, many years. Went all over Florida during speed weeks, changing oil in the trailer, on the highway, going from track to track, when out there we raced every night during speed weeks. Out here at Verona we race every couple of weeks. Guys complain they don't have enough time. We were racing every week. So I started there, then got my cart. I was trying to find my picture of it. Got a go-kart for Christmas one year and went and raced at the little, they call it the bull ring now, basically across the street from Bubba's. Raced there for a bunch of years and then figured out I was getting out checkbooked. Didn't matter how good I thought I was doing, I was out checkbooked all the time by horsepower and tires. So about 16, I stopped driving. Said I'm not going to go back to competitively driving until I'm not out checkbooked. So I'm now 40. Yeah, 40. I started a tool truck business, so now I'm extremely broke. I'll let you guess which one it is. But the goal is,
It's on your head.
That one there, yeah.
And you help us all out, so that keeps you broke too.
For sure. Racers helping racers. So the plan now is now that I'm married and got 2 kids, get the wife a house, and then I'm allowed to get another car. The one right here is one of the last cars I crew chiefed on, and it's for the old Mr. Phil Comfer. I think that's one of the best looking cars we ever had because I could always find him. But when we had the Man Plumbing wraps with John Kremp, that was the best looking those cars were. Because those two would run side by side, wheel to wheel, put on a hell of a show, and looked really, really good. So I met Phil through him being a nice guy. He went up and talked to one of the announcers one night when I came out to the track and gave a shout out to the motorcycle group I was there with. And I was like, I got to go to the pit to meet this guy. Give him the old hubbub. Hey, I know this, I know that. I want to help. He goes, sure, come by the shop. Thinking I'm just some blowhard. He's never going to show up. Here's the number. Okay. The next week, I show up at the shop.
I wasn't there.
Hey, where y'all at? You said you'd be here. We didn't think you were ever going to show up. We gone for the day. So, a couple days later, went back out there, found him at the Carlsbad shop, and Phil, Razz, and, kind of fell in, this was the time when I was going to college, try to get my nursing degree, and fell into going back to working on cars, wrenching on them, became pretty decent at setups on them, trying to get the car happy and Mr. Comfort happy, but, that's a problem its own. I didn't go for psychology, so I was a little
30/2 of an inch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we battled over that on a dirt car.
I think there's something
right.
that we missed there was that we forgot to give a shout out to the Neilden Rowdy Snap-on Tools truck for the sponsorship on the race cars.
I threw it in there by saying he helps us all out. We're getting there. We're working on it.
So, interesting story on that route. There is a graphics guy in the San Diego area who shall remain nameless, and by the end of the story, you'll know why he will remain nameless, who was doing all of Phil's wraps. And Phil, being the proud Navy veteran, combat corpsman that he is, all of his paint jobs have to be patriotic. And he had a mostly white car that had the flag on it. And I talked to him and I said, hey, let's go wild. And showed him Matt Kentz's car from the Cup Series that was bright yellow with the lower third being an American flag. I said, let's do this on your car. And that's how we ended up doing that.
Well, shout out to Phil, though. On the back, he always has the Veterans Memorial thing on the back of that deal. Always the coolest thing.
I'll let Phil tell that story, but those people on that deck were really close to Phil. So anyway, here's the really intricate part of this. We couldn't get the numbers done for it. We couldn't get him to do the flag part. We ended up painting that. I call it yellow. Phil says it's green.
Highlighter.
And we couldn't get him to answer our calls. Couldn't get him to come back. So we ended up ordering those numbers and the lower flag portion off of eBay. and I think it came out killer. It was a really good looking car. We took some pretty nice pictures of it with us posing there, and it came out looking really good.
Yep.
And the yellow part is paint, and it was a whole operation getting that paint on there because it's the paint itself is very, very transparent. So we had to paint the car white first and then put that highlighter on there. The paint's so transparent, we might as well have done it with a case full of highlighters.
Yep.
And up close, it looked terrible because it was blotchy and uneven. But on track,
it looked great at speed. It
It's got to look good from a distance.
Yeah.
Like most race cars.
So that brings us to me. I think you'll notice a common theme. Everybody mentioned the same name. The glue that kind of holds us together is Phil Comfort. He's the central point of this group. Has done something for each and every one of us. The guy is a great friend. He won't let me call him my friend. He's my brother. And he means it. I'm family to that man, and he will do anything for me. If I told him right now, hey, I need you to hook up the trailer and come up here, I need your help, he'd be Texas bound and down and heading up here to Kentucky to help me out. I have no doubt of that. How I got started in racing, I honestly don't know what age I was, but there's a memory of being in my dad's race car as we were loading it up on a trailer. I don't know how young I was, but I was standing up in the race car holding onto the roll bar as we drove onto the trailer. So, but probably 3 or 4 years old.
That's probably 70, 80 years ago, right?
He kissed my ass, did you see?
Did he hit the horse to get it to go, or?
It was an old Torino. My dad was a Ford guy through and through.
That's where you get it from. Shit, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I can't tell the story without telling the story of the name Razz Barlow. My dad raced at Santa Maria Speedway, and there's an announcer there named Jim Pluhar. And Pluhar could not pronounce our last name, kept messing it up. So my dad decided to, I'm going to get that announcer. So he registered on the driver card as Razzmatazz Eustace Barlow Jr. And so that's how the guy had to announce him. And that grew to Razz Barlow, and it stuck. Pretty much everybody knows my dad is Razz. So I became Razz Barlow the third. My 2 nephews are Razz Barlow the fourth, the fifth. I think we're up to Razz Barlow the 10th now with all my sister's kids and their kids. So it's a way to honor my dad and keep that going. But pretty much if I go to a racetrack, nobody knows me by my real name. They just know me as Razz. Growing up and going through high school, I started helping on a sprint car team that were friends of my dad. Real nice guy named Dick Woodland was the main sponsor and car owner. And Dick Woodland's sons were close to my age, so we were hanging out. And we would, do typical teenager stuff at the racetrack that didn't have anything to do with race cars, racetracks, or anything else. We were off doing stupid stuff. That friendship endures today. Matter of fact, I talked to one of the Woodlands about a half hour ago. They own sprint cars, midgets. There's a really cool auto museum up in Paso Robles where they're from that has Richard Petty's 200th win car in it. It has Jeff Gordon's Triple Crown car in it. Tony Stewart's Indy car, just all kinds of cool cars. If you ever get a chance, you're up in Paso Robles, go see that. So that's been kind of cool. Then one day my dad came to me and he says, I'm spending your inheritance. I'm like, on what? He goes, buying a race car. Cool. So he bought a hobby stock Mercury Cougar. I think 69 Cougar. And he started racing. He was in his 60s then. And he's just having a blast. We were not competitive, but he was having fun, and I'm having fun with him, and really renewed the father-son relationship that had been strained because of me being a dumbass. And we became good friends again. And then he died, and I kept the car going. And I crashed it real bad. Just wadded that thing up. And really the only thing left that was good in it was the engine and the rear end. And I knew a guy who had a Harris modified that coincidentally needed an engine and a rear end. I said, hey, we need to make a deal. So started modified racing, really liked it. It suited my style. This was, again, I'm old. This was before the 4-bar setup where it jacks the car up on the bars. I've tried driving that setup. I can't. I can't do it. So they were low slung and sliders. That's how they pretty much drove. Kept at it, had some decent sponsors, including the Woodlands. Got a newer Harris car because back then Harris was pretty much it. Started doing pretty good, and then went to Boone one year for the Super Dirt Nationals. Me and a buddy, we pulled all our resources together. He had an old Cup hauler trailer. We put both our cars in there, and we basically lived in that trailer. Went out to Boone. I ran pretty good. Won enough money where I said, you know what, let's just stay here in the Midwest and do a bunch of modified racing and see what we can do. Because back in those days, they're racing 3-4 nights a week, all over Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, you name it. And got pretty good just because I was getting so much seat time. Came back to Santa Maria Speedway and everybody accused me of cheating. I was so fast. Same with my buddy Dave, who went with me. We had gotten enough seat time with some really strong racers because in that area, if you're on a modified, you better have it together because that's where modifieds are grown. They come out of the cornfields. Decided that I'd had enough of modifieds and got a dirt late model, and I found out that dirt late model is a machine that turns hydrocarbon fumes into it dissolves money, just dissolves it. You throw $100 bills at them and they just disappear. Tires, you go through tires like crazy. The motors are super expensive. Never really did well on that. I had one good night at Pahrump, and that was about all I've ever done in that car. So got away from racing for a long time, just due to finances, and got talked into getting in a guy's dwarf car. I had never even seen a dwarf car. I didn't know what it was. It was an old Triple E car that had no room in it. I was folded up in that thing like a lawn chair. I'm 6'2" and a little bit over 250, and I had a tough time. Yeah, I'm closer to 3 than I am to 2 now. But it was an amazing car. When I first got in that thing, I was like, "This thing's a turd." It doesn't go. And then I got about 9,000 RPM on that R1 motor. I'm like, hey, things are starting to happen. And stuffed it in the wall. And Phil and another buddy of ours named James came over and just, without even saying a word, just started putting the car together. I knocked the whole right front corner off the thing. And they're going out looking for parts for me. Got it all put together, got me back out there. Like, these guys don't know me from Adam. And then, became real good friends with Phil. James kind of moved away, and got out of racing. But we bonded pretty good. I have a lot of respect for Phil. He's a man of honor. He's been attacked a lot at some various racetracks as far as questioning his honor and his race ethics and everything. But I'll tell you what, you'll never find a more honorable man in your life. And would give you the shirt off his back right now. So had a great time. Started working with him on the DNR car that you see behind Neilden. Actually, about 3 different DNR cars.
That car.
Yeah, like 3 different DNRs, right?
Yeah, it started out with a sedan, and then we started out with the sedan, Judge, and then we got Tater, and I killed. Or no, we got Judge. I killed Judge, then we killed Tater, or then we Tater.
Then we upgraded to Bud, and then we killed Bud and went back to Tater.
Went back to Tater and won 3 nights?
Yeah. 3 nights. That was long. Boy, man, I remember that. That was long.
Yeah. yeah, we thrashed in that car, and that's when Neilden was involved. Another close friend now that we met through this group. So it's been an awesome group. We always help each other out. We're always touching base with each other. But I'm pretty much out of racing now. My goal is to basically become a car owner. I want to get either a sprint car or a midget, and put somebody young and stupid like Shane or somebody in it, and watch them do backflips down the back straight.
Soper, you're muted.
Hey, when it's your money,
I don't think Shane
game.
wants to experience that again.
Yeah, he holds the altitude record at Paris, I think.
Yeah, hell, dude, he was over the fence.
Yeah,
with a jet in the background. You gotta remember,
Yeah.
with a jet in the background.
Facts.
Yeah.
You guys, there's probably some folks that have seen the video at Paris of the guy going into 1 and 2 and cartwheeling it up in the fence and hanging on it. Shane beat him. Shane was higher than him.
Yep. That he did.
He's
That
still
was
not as
Damon
he's still
Gardner.
yeah, that was Damian Gardner. I was there that night.
Yep.
He still hasn't beat Austin Williams though, who cleared the fence.
I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, no.
Well, before we move on, I'd like to say this one's for you, Phil. Thank you for all you
Beer.
do. I'm holding a beer.
Well,
There we go.
I think we still need Phil to do his introduction. So
Well, he
we'll
does.
hold
But
on.
before I
Yeah.
let him, I'm gonna say thank you, sir.
Oh,
He's
to
the
you,
guy,
bud.
the man. You called me the man, the myth, the legend. You stole all the thunder, but the real man is Phil Confer.
Yeah, lay it on us, Phil.
I'm
I know
just
you
a dude.
started out in carts with your dad. Let's hear it.
Well, let's
Well-
start out in the diapers and then go from there.
Hey,
You're gonna end there.
let's give a shout out to his folks though. His parents are by far the greatest people I've ever met.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I'll start out with I'm the second oldest guy. Razz has me by a couple of years. Yeah, I started out racing. My experience in racing is I was born in upstate New York, and my dad raced late models at Weed Sport Speedway. And before I was born, she gave him the option of the car or her, and I'm quite glad that he decided to stay with her, because had he stayed with the car, I wouldn't be here. And then years later, about 18 years later, I decided I wanted to race go-karts, and I started racing go-karts in Florida, kind of like Neilden. I raced on the dirt up there at Maxville and Jack's Raceways and a couple places like that, and it was a lot of fun. Did okay. I was racing, as Neilden says, you get out budgeted. Tires and motors, you get out budgeted. And then I did a crazy
the speed weeks with semis for go-karts.
Yep. And I joined the Navy, and while I was in the Navy, I did some racing. I raced go-karts while I was in the Navy, and I got hurt one night in the go-kart. I got a real bad concussion, and I showed up on Monday morning, and they didn't like the idea that I was running ambulances, and I couldn't remember who I was after a go-kart wreck. So they said either you stop racing or we put you in a brig. And I was like, well, Bubba's got eyes for my behind, and I didn't want to go to the brig. So I quit racing. And then after I got out of the Navy, actually I take that back. I went and got transferred to California, and I started racing off-road with Fluger and trophy trucks, and did that for 5 years, and that was a blast. We did Baja 1000. I was a tire changer, and we were the fastest pit crew in the desert. We could do 2 tires, 80 gallons of fuel, and completely check the truck in 41 seconds. And in off-road racing, you normally can't win a race in the pits, but you can lose one. Well, we proved multiple times in the Baja 250 that you can win a race in the pits. And that's when the pits became pit stops in the Baja 250 became a competitive deal. And then that's where I learned how to take care of your team, how to, the most important thing any team owner or driver can have is his team. Alan Fluger taught me that, and I tried my damnedest to anytime I dealt with anybody who was volunteering for my team. And anybody will tell you this. I used to sit there and say, this is the hardest job you'll ever volunteer for the worst pay. I pay food and gratitude, and that's about all I can afford. And Neilden and Razz, they were both my crew chief, and I held them to high standards. And there were some heated discussions in the race shop over a 32nd of an inch or something I wanted to do that they didn't want to do, and
or what we wanted to do what you wouldn't do, like run the high side.
Well, most of the time when I ran the high side, I wrecked the race car. So
besides that, one time we won the fast dash.
We were just
we'll
Hey,
get
Razz,
off.
he stole your money in the fast dash by going to the high side one time.
Yeah,
twice actually, 2 times. Let's get it right. If you're gonna tell a story, tell it right. 2 times.
It's your story. I'm just throwing it out there.
So yeah, and we did that, and like Brandon said, we were, we weren't considered a winner every week, but they knew that when we rolled in, we had top-notch equipment. And if you're watching this, people, just look, the guys up there, Razz and Neilden, they worked their asses off to get that car where I felt comfortable running up front. And Brandon, toward the end of my career, he come in and helped out a lot. And it was a lot of fun. I just got to say it was a lot of fun. Currently, I'm going to make an announcement here. I've discussed it with my wife.
You're going modified racing.
I'm going modified racing.
Where is it? I know you can hold it in your hand.
It's on order. I'm going to do some travel modified racing, and all the guys, Razz, I see Razz smirking, I see Bridger smirking, all the guys are smirking. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to do some travel racing with a modified. It's more in my budget. If I wad the thing up and completely destroy it, it's only going to cost me about $349. I'm going to start racing Traxxas modified, dirt modifieds. And it's an RC car, radio controlled car. Razz, you have one, don't you?
I haven't even pulled it out of the box.
You haven't even
the
peeled
box?
the box yet?
I haven't pulled it out of the box. I haven't put a battery in it. It's just
where's the box? We
it's
want to
out
take
in
a
the
look
shed.
at this.
I have a Traxxas sprint car.
Well,
I'll take you on.
But I'm going to interrupt Phil right there, because there's another weird thing. Is Phil and I used to do a lot of pretty intense competitive off-road RC racing. And it turns out that he and I were racing at the same tracks at the same time with the same people, and we just never really met or connected.
Never ran across each other.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you guys are saying and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is we're all family. And if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have kept racing as long as I did. And if it wasn't for you guys being family, I don't know where I'd be today. Currently, I'm sitting out here in the middle of the oil fields in Texas. It's hotter than Hades out here. The devil called me the other day and said, "Hey, dude, turn the air conditioner on." We were at 111 degrees out here. And we are all sitting here right now, and we're all talking. And we all met through racing. And you guys are just awesome people. And there's a reason why we're all still friends. And we're all still family. And that when we all get together, well, shit, the police are on alert.
Yeah, let's not forget the shenanigans in the races around the nursery.
All we got to do is run fast.
I was just going to say,
we're not going to
even
talk
after we
about
threw
that.
him off a golf cart, he's still our friends, Neilden.
Allegedly.
No, it's fact. It's fact. They tried to kill me.
Nah,
You just didn't prepare fast enough. Neilden said which way we were going.
I called it quietly.
Yeah.
Better group of guys I couldn't wish for. All right, let's get into some racing. I think the next thing we'll talk about is a track that's real close to me. It's like 45 minutes for me. It's Florence, Kentucky. They had the North-South 100 this week, a 4-day race. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And Soper's got a clip that we're going to watch here of this was Thursday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, this one happened on Thursday night.
We're
So
going to get the first award on our very first broadcast.
The first dirty slider award goes to none other
Dun,
than
Dun dun
the
dun!
man, the
Roll the
myth.
tape. Roll the tape.
Waiting on you, Flat Biller.
I
Come on, man. We're excited for the first dirty slider to get thrown out here.
I had the thing pulled up, and now
Jeez.
You must be a
can't find
cheat.
it.
Double
This-
click the enter full screen mode. Waiting
Whoa,
on the
whoa,
old
whoa.
guy.
private chat.
Whoa, private
That's
chats,
the
bud.
wrong. You
There's
guys go ahead.
language in there.
Go ahead and talk.
Can I
don't know
name
why
drop?
this thing
Can I
isn't-
name drop the dirty slider award winner?
Not yet.
No. You say
Dang
what
it.
chassis
No.
they're in. Say what chassis they're in. That's about it.
No, we're not going to do that either. That's a dead giveaway.
All right, you guys ready?
Hold on, I got it.
I'm ready. Are
Okay.
you ready?
I got it pulled up here.
I want to see it.
Who's the bald guy on my screen?
Okay.
Okay, you guys see it?
No,
No.
I see
There we
Razz's
go.
screen. There we
All
go.
right.
Now we gotta make it
Full
big.
screen it.
I'm clicking.
Oh, somebody
it's
did
all
a terrible
chopped
job. Somebody screwed this up. There must be Razz on the controls here.
See,
Boom,
this is how
bang,
you can
got
tell we
it.
don't have a technological producer in the background. It's all just us.
Yeah. All right.
However-
could you guys see that?
We
You
could see
can figure it out.
Bobby Pearce in the 32 car threw a
Yeah,
slider in there.
throwing the dirtiest of dirty sliders.
Well, check it
So
out though.
he throws that slider on Jameson, and when I tell you that he threw it on his nose and then parked it on his face, I don't think it gets any worse than that.
Well,
But-
what makes it worse is what he said afterwards. This is Bobby Pearce saying, "Hey, you know what? Sometimes there's a hole and you shouldn't stick your nose in there." He was talking about Jameson. I'm like, hello, dude, you came from behind.
So
So-
check it out.
yes.
I'm the black sheep of the whole group probably because Bobby Pearce does this. This is where he makes his living. He is going onto the racetrack and he is going for a win every single race. If it takes a dirty slider to get there, how many times has the man had a dirty slider thrown on him? Fair's game, buddy. When you
Hey,
put a helmet on,
I'm gonna call it like I see it. That was dirty.
it might be dirty, but who ended up winning the race?
No, that doesn't make it right.
That's what the regular books will show, though.
Bobby didn't win that race. RTJ won that race.
Yeah.
Who took the money home at the end of the weekend?
Yeah,
On
we'll
Saturday.
we'll get to that part.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
But so-
Thursday night, that slider was dirty.
Yep,
Well,
yep. And
give a nod to the winner though, Ricky Thornton Jr. He had some adversity this season, getting let go of a ride after he's won how many races?
And I think that was all because he wouldn't share his setup book.
Well, that's what they say,
Well,
but
that was-
I
yeah, that
can't
was-
argue with it.
No, that's
Nah,
right out
see-
of RTJ's mouth. He said they're running a 2-car team. The owner come and said, "Hey, I need your notes." And RTJ said, "You're not getting my notes." And the owner said, "I pay the bills. You're giving me the notes." And I see both sides of that.
Uh-huh.
But
right.
this race was the first race of Chris Madden and RTJ teaming up. And they said they threw that car together at the last second. It was a brand new Longhorn chassis just a couple days before that race. They built that car. They built a backup car. I don't think the backup car was brand new, but brand new truck and trailer, filled it with spares. Just what they had to do to get that together for the North South 100. I'm sure that was a chore.
I'll tell you this,
Oh,
Chris
absolutely.
Madden, he's a notable late model driver himself. So them two paired up is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
was-
yet to be determined if that's going to be a full on team for next season or not. But if they do team up and those two do share notes with each other, the rest of the field better look out because that's two fast guys.
No, absolutely. And just case you guys didn't catch it, that is RTJ's first win with Kohler Motorsports since
Yeah.
he's jumped in that car. So, and I mean, he was running good before, but obviously Chris Madden showing up definitely solved some issues and helped him, I think, to put the final couple pieces together to make that happen.
Well,
But on the
talking
Saturday
about
night,
Ricky Thornton though, for him to get out of his original ride and he jumped in what Shepard's house car.
Yeah.
That one
For one
night
night.
and ran top 3 or whatever he did. The guy can just flat out drive.
well, he's running a asphalt midget at IRP this weekend. The guy will get anything. He's run chili bowl in a dirt midget. He ran turkey night in a dirt midget.
He's won IMCA Super Nationals in a modified, a late
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, the guy
Yep.
can drive. So
Yep.
Saturday night for the big bucks, $75,000 win. I'm kind of bummed I didn't go because, like I said, the track is 45 minutes for me, but just for safety reasons, I didn't go. But watching it on Flow, Turbo, Tyler Erb, about 8 laps to go, he went in the middle, which we as racers know the middle is no man's land. That's where you go to run, to just drop straight to the back. And he found something in the middle. If that race would have went on 4 or 5 more laps, I think he'd have caught Bobby Pearce and beat him.
Who'd you say? What name did you say there?
Tyler Erb, Turbo.
Turbo.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch the race back, watch him. He moves to the middle, which, in
Yep.
dirt racing, you either run the bottom or the top once the track slicks off.
Wow.
Clearly, Phil.
Yeah. We know, Phil.
If
But
you
I mean,
ask Soper say the top side because that's what he runs.
I'll give Bobby Pearce his props. He dominated that race Saturday.
He did. And even though he threw that slider on Thursday and it was, dirty like we were talking about, he started ninth, got into that first or second lap wreck, dropped back to 22nd, and then it still came back to finish second place on that Thursday night feature.
I'm telling you all, I like Bobby Pearce. A lot of people talk about his dirty sliders, but that guy puts that car on the box.
If you
90%
try to
of the time.
you try to justify his racing again, I'm going to mute you.
Hey, the guy does it for a living, and
Yeah.
he's going out there
We're
in a
talking about it.
family
He's doing it.
in a family car, and he is winning races.
In other
It doesn't
dirt
make it
late
okay.
models, yeah.
It
In
is
other
okay.
dirt late model news, there's starting to be rumors that T-Mac is going to be out of the Rocket house car.
I thought
So-
Ricky Thornton was going to get the Rocket House car right when they
Well,
first started talking about that.
Yeah, I mean the thing with McCreadie, he's been inconsistent in that car, and Mark Richards demands excellence in those cars.
Well, Ricky Thornton's not going to come off a Longhorn chassis anytime soon. I can promise you that. Though.
Well, and the other thing too is Mark Richards has a certain way he wants his cars set up. I ran a Rocket late model for a while and had a lot of talks with Mark Richards. He has his opinions, and he wants you to run the car a certain way. He likes grabbing that left front, putting it up in the air.
3 for show, 4 for go, buddy.
Yep. And then on the Knoxville Nationals, and this is going to be a pretty short discussion. Kyle Larson's pretty good.
Yeah, buddy. Oh,
We don't need to go any
man.
further than that.
Yeah,
Oh, nope.
All right,
You were
on to the
talking
next
about.
subject. That's over.
yeah.
Well, I think that guy
he-
won
You
at
were talking about
Oskaloosa
how-
too. So he won twice in Iowa, Knoxville and Oskaloosa.
we won
Well, you're
6
talking
races.
about.
He won 6 races in the time that the NASCAR Cup Series was off, including the Knoxville Nationals. 100-lap race. He led lap 1. He led lap 2. He led them all. Led every single lap.
Well, the point is it's Kyle Larson. I mean, the dude can just drive. That's just raw talent. The dude can drive. Put him in anything. Put him in a soapbox car. He's going to hurt a Boy Scout's feelings.
Hey, cool story. The first time I met Kyle Larson and his parents, Tulare Trophy Cup. That was the year before he went to Cup Series, Chip Ganassi Racing, and his parents were the one that told us. I was with Tom Eaton Jr. at the time. And they said, "Hey, he's going to Cup next year," and we're like, "No way!" talked to him in the pits after the races. He said, "Well, we're not supposed to talk about it, but Chip Ganassi Racing, 42 car."
I was at Turkey Night at the last year. It was at Paris, and Chip Ganassi flew in to watch Kyle run Turkey Night in a midget. The internet kind of went off a little bit on Kyle this week, talking about he's outspending everybody in the sprint car series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me.
Dumpster diving.
$40
Paul
million
Silva.
was the teams in there.
Yeah,
He
I
ain't the
mean,
only one with money.
I don't believe.
Soper's got a little something on this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
tell me,
believe
Silver,
that.
tell me.
I don't believe that Kyle Larson's putting a dime towards that operation. I think that's an entire Paul Silva deal. Kyle just comes in whenever Paul asks him to drive, and Kyle can do it, and he does it. Paul Silva, before the Knoxville Nationals, was in the dumpster grabbing other people's thrown away parts to salvage them and put them on that 57 sprint car. Also, when they had that mid-feature caution, they did not put new tire on the right rear. They kept that same tire on it and ran that right rear for 50 straight laps, where I think every other car in that field put on a new right rear. And Larson still spanked them.
They said that that right rear looked a bit brand new at the halfway mark, which
It
tells you
just goes to show you how good Kyle is. He can feel that tire and knows how hard to push it.
Yeah. No, there's not a better man on the planet in a winged sprint car. Period.
Most cars there, buddy.
Yeah, but he excels
Wing,
at
non-wing.
he excels at wing sprint cars. And I think it's kind of BS to say that he's bringing, he's outspending the local racers, because the thing with sprint cars is it's 100-year-old technology for the most part. They've pretty much got those cars figured out. They know, put this bar and this shock on this corner. Everybody's pretty much got pretty close to the same setup and the same parts.
Besides one
You're
guy,
part of that
right?
Sammy Swindell operation.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll
Yeah.
get into that here in a minute. I watched a YouTube video, which if you go and find it, it's a Don Ott shop tour. Don Ott's a pretty famous sprint car engine builder. $80,000 is what a 410 sprint car motor is going for these days. That's a eight followed by 4 zeros.
Is that the new block or the OG?
I don't know if he's using that new Brodix block yet. I watched that video too. We talked about Brodix come out with a brand new 410 sprint car block that is doing some unique things. They've machined it really lightweight. They added a extra oil passage to supply oil, and then the traditional oil passage that they used to supply oil that runs down the cam tunnel. They're using that to scavenge oil out of the valley, right at the right rear of the lifter valley. So dry sump scavenge port there. Pretty trick stuff. You can go on YouTube and find that. Just a new Brodix 410 block is what you search for there. But and like I said, trust me, Paul Silva and Kyle Larson are not spending any more money than most of the guys in that series. Let's not forget, this is the World of Outlaw series, the tippy top of the sprint car game.
Isn't that those weekend chumps?
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're all spending some money.
Yeah, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but on night 2, Darren Pittman qualified P1, and then with the invert in his heat race started 8th, and then in his heat race drove back to first place in that heat race. A lot of people are talking about how passing is difficult in sprint cars. I mean, Darren Pittman made that whole field look like a clown posse, and Brad Sweet was in that heat.
There was
Darren Pittman's been
3-time
racing a
champion?
long time, boys.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the prelim nights at Knoxville, Kyle Larson went 21st to first.
Which was insane.
So-
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Like I said, I heard the kid can drive.
May have seen
Right.
it.
I have a feeling this will be the last time we talk about him. Just saying.
No, for sure. I think he's the most talented driver currently.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm old enough to remember some sprint car legends. Steve Kinzer, Sammy Swindell, Doug Wolfgang, Dave Blaney, Jack Howdenschildt. Now, I never saw AJ Foyt or Mario Andretti wheel a dirt sprint car. They both did, back in the day when that's what IndyCar drivers did. They went and got in sprint cars in farted rain. but I would put Kyle Larson at that same talent level as those guys with some real legends. And I think, 20 years from now, they're going to be talking about him as, in the same breath as those guys.
And just be fair, we're not swinging on Larson because for any reason other than he's just a major talent.
Yeah.
It's been proven time and time. I mean, they're saying, oh, well, you drive a sprint car, you can't drive a late model. The first time he drove a late model, he won.
Yeah. What a big race.
And it
what
wasn't,
a big race.
Local boys, it was a big time money.
Yeah, he won a big race out
talent
in Vado.
Yep. Well, it's not just dirt cars. Look what he did in the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah. P6 before he had his issue against guys that do it every weekend.
Yep.
So that brings us to another interesting thing from Knoxville. Let me see if I can share this and make it so people can see it.
DU.
God, he looks goofy when he's trimmed out.
So this is the front suspension on Sammy Swindell's car that they had at the Knoxville Nationals. This was a car designed by Sean Wood, Flea Ruzick, and Sammy Swindell. So everybody knows the name Sammy Swindell. Anybody who's been around open wheel racing knows the name Flea Ruzick. Sean Wood may not be a name that people know quite so much, but that's three legendary chassis builders who came up with something really unique. That shock you see for the right front, that's got the red coils in the center. That's a cantilever suspension system to what, I don't know, maybe move the weight a little over to the left side. They claim that using coils on all four wheels, they can make a spring rate change quicker than you can with a bar. The rear shocks they had covered up. They wouldn't let anybody see them. That may be the trickiest part on the whole car is what they're doing in the rear. They said that the only off-the-shelf part on this car was, I think, the motor plate and like power steering pump. Everything else was custom made. And if you know Sammy Swindell and Flea, they love tricking people's minds out and messing with their heads. Flea has built some really bizarre midgets for Chili Bowl. And Sammy won his prelim night, didn't he?
He did get a dub in Knoxville.
Yeah. So that for an old guy, that says something. And they're all talking good about each other. Flea's commending Sammy on what he's bringing to the table. Sammy's commending Sean and Flea. They might be onto something here. And like I said, sprint cars at their core, they're a 100-year-old chassis design. They haven't really changed.
Axle,
yeah, they haven't really changed since the Offenhauser days. So I always love somebody who thinks outside the box, and that is definitely thinking outside the box. I'm curious what they're not talking about. The innovation that they're hoping nobody sees.
Yeah, well, on Thursday night for Sammy Swindell, he actually did not even. He made, I think, one lap in the heat race, and then went out for the C feature and didn't transfer. So he didn't get but 15 or 20 laps on his Thursday night. But I don't know what he did Saturday, if he went out and won the E main or D main or whatever.
Yeah, they lost a Jesus clip off the U joint. That's what took him out the first night. Brand new part.
Yep.
And I guess they talked to the supplier, and the supplier went on their shelf and they found 4 more just like it, where the clip wasn't in all the way on the U joint, which let the thing come apart.
Damn it.
See if they spent more money like Larson, they've been fine.
Yeah.
Don't bring that back up.
But the most impressive performance of the entire Knoxville Nationals was Logan Schuart and his crew. They went to the hot pit with a vibration that they thought was the engine. He popped it out of gear and pulled into the hot pit. Engine's running fine. They're looking all over this car. They changed the rear end gear on that car in 2 minutes. I mean, I know they call it a quick change, but 2 minutes. They said they had one crew guy who had second-degree burns because he reached in and grabbed the gears with his bare hands.
I
So
think
I'm gonna
somebody
ask you
else
to
did
do
that
it.
at Verona Speedway with a dwarf car rear gear.
Yeah. Don't start no mess. But yeah. I'd say right now, I can't change a gear in 2 minutes. There's no way.
Well, as limber as you are, I don't think it'd take you 5 minutes to get under the car.
Yeah, you don't even know what the under of the car looks like there, pal.
Well, you guys did.
Yeah.
Well,
I just drive the car. Let me sit over here in the shade. You guys work on it. It's a 30-second off.
That was
pushy.
one of the best
It's pushy.
arguments
You
we
fix
had. Hey, Neilden, I do have one question for you. When I would walk by the car and say, "That's not right,"
Forget your calibrated eye, sir.
and
I
Marshall,
do it to other people. You're not supposed to do it to me.
Kiss
can
my
I
ass.
eyeball 21,000s?
Kiss my ass. We'll save that story for another night.
I'm taking
Yeah,
your beer back. No more for you.
No more for. Hey, not for another
All
3 weeks. 3 more weeks.
No more for you. No more for you.
No beer for you.
All right, so I'm going to share one more thing. This one's not necessarily as light a note. Anytime there's a helicopter on a racetrack, it's not a good thing. Southern Raceway, which if you follow Hunt the Front, this is their home track in Milton, Florida. And there was a fatal crash. James Fox lost his life in that crash.
Oh man.
So shout out to his family and
Milton,
friends.
Florida, right?
Milton, Florida, yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, anytime there's a helicopter on the track, it ain't good.
No.
McKenna Haas had a nasty crash, but she got checked and released in his home. So I think she was basically fine. Am I getting that wrong?
From what we've been told.
And we all know Tim Spencer. He's running a modified in West Virginia now. His son Ryan is running a mini stock.
Try to pull a copper, knock the wall down.
He had a tire. He had a bead. He had a bead fail.
Yeah, he flipped that thing like 4 times, didn't he?
It's more like 2, but we all know, and when you're in a race car and you roll over 1 time, it feels like 16.
Yeah.
He hit that
yeah,
wall
he's
a
fine.
ton.
Was it go
Yeah,
ground, sky, ambulance?
Well, that guy he was having a pretty good run too, from what it looked like, and then he shot up towards the wall in turn 3, and man, he hit.
Yeah, it rolled the bead. It rolled the bead on the right front.
That's why I tell everybody to pull them belts extra tight. Start with your lap belts first, and then pull your shoulder straps. And then Phil, he's the guy that taught us how to have somebody outside the car reach in and pull them shoulder straps for you too.
Yeah.
No, Phil's the guy who pulls the shoulder straps because he's got the more ass to throw around.
Hey.
I wasn't gonna go there, but since you want to go there.
No, I spoke with Jason Aldridge this week on Wednesday, and
that's the guy that you
he's
tried to
doing
kill.
fine.
Why did you have to talk to him?
Wow.
Why did you have to talk to him?
That's
Wow.
the,
Me
that's
and
the guy
Jason got
that's
together. It was a
you tried to
racing deal.
murder.
Okay, we got together. He came across the nose and he barrel rolled down the front stretch of Verona in a sport mod. But the good news is the halo center section cockpit area of the roll cage, not a single bar moved, bent, or broke a weld. Everything
Nice.
else that was supposed to gave, but the entire cockpit was in place. He did end up going to the hospital and get some scan done. He ended up having some bruised ribs and a bruised big toe and a hurt ego, but that was it. Spoke to him for about 30 minutes. He's doing fine. He's doing good. Doesn't know what his next move's going to be, but I mean, that's just a testament to the safety equipment and gear, belts and the cage and the harness and the whole 9.
How are you and him?
Great. Good. He said, don't hold your head down. Don't feel like I'm mad at you. I'm not. I've watched the video. It was a racing deal, not your fault. We just came together.
Jason's a pretty
I-
stand-up guy, and his
stand-up
dad.
guy, but I'm not gonna call it 100% a racist deal. It was a bad decision on his part.
Well, I'm just saying I've raced with Jason and the pure stocks quite a bit. They're all friendly folks. His dad usually throws a little extra money towards the pure stock division, and they're just if you talk to Jason, he's a good dude. He will help you out.
No, he's a great guy. I think it was a bad decision. He came up when Thomas was there.
I mean, we all misjudge in a race car.
Not me. I'm perfect.
Well, that's why you're bench racing.
How's it go? I'm a couch racer now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marshall, were you the perfect the night you looked out your door and saw, and because you made a mistake and saw me coming at you?
No, that was when
No, it was your fault, Phil.
that was Kevin Bates flipped in front of us, and I jumped hard on the brakes, and I had three-wheel brakes. And
Yeah.
I turned dead sideways on the front stretch. I'm looking out the windshield at Phil.
Oh,
It's a bad thing to be happening when dwarf cars are bearing down on you down the front straightaway.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So
That
I
hit
know we're
hurt.
a dirt show, but there's an elephant walking down the street. We might as well talk about it.
Oh,
That,
we're talking about the old
He's a dickhead.
we're talking about the old number 3 car, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Let's go around the horn. What do you think, Jacina?
Well, here's what I think. I think the move on old Joey Logano was valid. Anybody in NASCAR history is going to run the guy over to take the dub. The right rearing Denny Hamlin was a dick move. But you also got to say, when's the last time that dude was even fighting for a win? The Dillons
Yeah.
have no business being in NASCAR. Old Pop has the money and the team to put that kid in a car. The dickhead move on the right rear to Denny Hamlin, but it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
President of the Denny Hamlin fan club, right there.
There it is. Yeah.
yeah.
So I agree with Brandon that Ty and Austin Pop is bringing him, but I actually saw someone put the actual SMT data up, and Logano, yeah, he drove in there hard just to get Logano out of the way. But if you watch that data, Denny comes up and Austin holds his line. He just gasses up just before Denny comes up.
Not according to Denny. According to Denny, he looked at the SMT. He looked at the SMT data and said that Austin was 70 degrees to the left with the steering wheel.
Yep.
70 degrees.
It did.
And I listened to.
I
watched
listened to the same
in-car
podcast.
too, and it does definitely look like there might have been a little bit, yeah.
Well,
Well,
maybe
it
the car
hey,
was a
may
little
Brandon said,
tight
you're
and he was
going
trying
for
to
a
get
win.
some
You're
bitch
going to
back
do what
in
you
the
want to
racing
do.
lane.
It may look like Austin Dillon held his line, but what is the racing line coming off the corner? It's not running the yellow line. It's getting up to the wall and carrying your momentum. And you know
and I
Denny's
listened.
coming
Well,
up.
that was the
And
argument.
Austin's
Yes.
trying to cut it, and that's what he did.
I listened to Denny's podcast today, and whether he's right or wrong is not the point. But he's still pretty damn salty about that deal.
Well,
Yes, he
I
is.
mean, I'd be salty too. Somebody right rears me. Hell, somebody doors me in the driver's door. I'm pretty adamant to get him back, and John Bridger can attest to that. The old 24 car at Verona, under caution, I let him know pretty quickly that running into my driver's door is probably not the best place for you to be.
Last couple of races, I've let him know not quite as strongly, but
You rear me into the fence. You should be ready to put them hands up because
Well,
I'm
like
coming.
we were talking pre-show here, that takes you back to Talladega. Old Bob Keselowski coming out talking about putting on his fire suit if his kid gets right reared again.
Bill, do you ever have any experience with a father saying they're going to bring their race car out and do something over what their son did?
Such a leading question.
Huh. Happened to be in
yeah.
turn 2 at the old Verona Speedway, maybe?
Turn 4,
Well,
front stretch.
Oh, ringing any bells?
Something about a special steering wheel or something.
Yeah, I got right sided by young man.
Here's the messed up part on mine. I said, "There's no way he knew you were coming. Give the kid the benefit of the doubt. You know what? There's no
Phil, what
way."
did I say to you on the front straightaway after that wreck?
Yeah. So
Well,
I
between all
talked.
the F-bombs,
Yeah, I talked Phil off the ledge. Said, hey, don't go do nothing. Give the kid the benefit of the doubt. And then we found out later he 100% did it on purpose.
Well, here's the
Well,
deal.
and
I was
other
on
people
the
knew he was going
announcing.
to do it.
I was in the announcing booth for that deal, and I was the first one to go talk to Phil on the front straightaway. The first thing I said out of my mouth, Phil, what did I tell you?
I can't. It's going to sound like I've got a speech impediment because I have to take all the F's out of it.
Well,
you dropped probably about 35 F-bombs in 2 seconds.
well, I'm fairly
So-
certain that I told you his dad needed to pay for the favor that his kid gave.
Well,
him.
and you can and as Marshall just said, because when we got into tech, Marshall was standing there, and I was wanting to go have
Have a
words
discussion?
with the father, and Marshall was like, "No, don't do it, don't do it."
Have a
I
Talladega
should-
South discussion.
I should let him go.
Well, I told him to go simply based off the fact that that was BS, and somebody needed to pay for the young man's terrible operation there. And Daddy's the only one that's got the age
age.
requirement
If y'all
Yeah.
remember
to have
correctly,
those conversations.
if you guys remember correctly, that kid was applauded, praised, and carried on a ticker tape parade for that move. But when another individual that drives the number 5 dwarf drove into my left rear, into my left Nerf bar, and then cut across my nose in the middle of a turn and put himself in the wall, I was the one that was attempted murderer.
I think that was a little odd situation too, because your crew chief and that 5 car have a little bit of history on the opposite side of that too, I believe.
It almost
Still
cost me my
talking to
crew
him.
chief.
Still went to dinner with him not long ago.
He should
But
have
I'm gonna
paid
make
for the
I'm
dinner
gonna-
because he won $5,000 at the casino. I seen his picture on Viejas's Facebook or Saquon, one of the two.
So I'm going to make a bold prediction about the Austin Dillon deal. I think they take the win away from him. I think they
I
actually
agree.
DQ him.
I agree.
Not a
Tomorrow we'll
chance.
find
No,
out.
I think they
Tomorrow
have
we're gonna
to.
find out.
They
think
would
they have to.
They have to set. They
they
have
would
to set a
take points
precedent.
from the guy, but they're not going to take the man's win away from him based off of previous
Pop-Pop?
actions and NASCAR. And
Well, and
Pop-Pop.
that's the only thing. Pop carries a pretty big hammer around NASCAR. That's for sure. But I think they know that they have to put a stop to this, and if they don't, come Phoenix, I'm in the Final Four. Well, let me go wreck the other 3.
well,
If he
I'm
had
just,
just dumped Joey, it would have been fine. He wouldn't
Well,
got points.
I think
the waste went when he took out Denny also. That was where I think the issue comes.
Well, no, the nail in the coffin was what the spotter was saying.
Yeah, if
so
that was,
those.
Yeah,
and of course
the-
they say
the
that
spotter-
wasn't their audio. That was somebody else on the radio.
So my
Which
deal
you
is
could do.
No.
my
The
deal was
spotter,
as
the spotter
NASCAR's
admitted to it. He admitted to saying it. He admitted it to Hamlin's spotter, and he admitted it to his team. That I'm the one
Yeah,
that
he
said,
said-
"Come down, wreck him."
Yeah, I'm the one who told him to do that. He walked down the spotter's stand and told
So
him.
the
Denny
spotter
Hamlin's
might
fun.
get suspended, but I don't think they pull the kids the win away from him based off of NASCAR history. It's not the first time somebody's been wrecked. It's not the last time somebody's going to get wrecked.
No, I think
Well,
because of the circumstances, and the circumstances being that he jumps from 32nd in points to 16th in points and locks himself into. They said Hamlin said on the podcast that that's about a $2 million swing in your
I
year-end
think what's
points.
going to happen is Denny Hamlin's been the golden child of NASCAR for a little bit, and if he wasn't involved, this wouldn't even be a conversation.
Well, I
Oh,
would say
I think
Denny-
I think
Denny
you're right. I
was
think if
out.
it was
he just
if it-
outvoiced.
if
If
it
he
was
would have done
just
Bubba Wallace or somebody like that, for example, this isn't even a conversation.
No,
Well,
I
I think-
disagree
disagree.
that. It's right during somebody, man. It's right during any racer is a bullshit move, and it's dangerous. You're going to kill somebody doing that.
How many times has it happened in NASCAR?
Yep.
And
Well,
nobody
the
threw
thing
a
is
fit.
NASCAR has set it up. NASCAR, and unfortunately, I hope Dillon is the guy. I hope Dillon's a guy that gets boned in the butt for it, because it's bullshit move and you're going to hurt somebody. You're going to kill somebody doing it. And they've got to make
has to fucking stop.
they've got to make an example.
The deal is you can't let it happen 10 times and then bust this guy because this guy's not your winning driver.
Well, somebody's got to be the first.
Well, I'm just saying, Pop, like we were just saying, has a pretty big hammer in NASCAR. And if you go to blow his grandkid up there and take away his win, and when's the last time Austin Dillon had a win?
2 years ago.
Austin Dillon sucks. So
And it was a fuel mileage race.
Well, we know Austin Dillon sucks, and Kevin Harvick would be the first one to admit that the guy has no business being in a cup car.
but it's still it all that doesn't make a difference. You right door somebody like that, it's over.
I get
I
it,
think
but
it was
how
just
many
the
times has somebody in NASCAR been right doored and nothing happened? There wasn't even a conversation about it. Like I said about the Talladega, for example, there wasn't this big uproar over somebody getting right reared at a fence at Talladega going 100-mile-an-hour faster than you were this last weekend.
If you get right doored because you tried to make a block and put yourself right doored, that's different than somebody cutting 3 lanes off the track to take out your right side.
While your spotter's screaming, wreck him, wreck him.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
there's a
Bubba
huge
Wallace did that
difference.
to Kyle Larson not too long ago on a repayment
And what
in the
happened?
middle of a race.
And what
Yeah,
happened?
and he got suspended for it.
Yep.
So
I
there
think
you go.
I think the only way you put a stop to it is you have to make the ramifications huge, and that the only way it's huge in this scenario is to take that win away and put him back to 30 seconds.
So who's going to
Well,
win the
even-
race?
So
Who do you
even
get?
even if you don't,
win away.
Who do you
And
give
it's
the
not
win
Denny
to?
Hamlin. Denny Hamlin.
You don't
Well,
give
and
a
you-
damn
no,
win
you
to
can-
Denny
you
Hamlin.
can
He's
make-
involved.
What they scored him second, but
Well, here's the thing.
you can make a case that you don't make anybody the winner. You just vacate the win.
No, Denny Hamlin was the last winner to have a win taken away from him. Now, you can let Dillon keep the win, but you'd say, hey, your playoff gift is now taken. You have to re-earn that. It's gone.
Yeah, that's valid, and I think that's what they're going to have to do. But the
Waylon, where are you?
I don't know. Last time I
real
see
quick,
Waylon Jennings.
real quick, it's not the first time. It's not unprecedented for NASCAR to disqualify somebody for dirty driving and suspend them. Look at Kyle Busch when he was in that truck race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unprecedented. So it could happen.
I just
Well,
like if you were
I
going to
think
make
if you
it
just-
happen, it should have happened on Monday, the day after the race, and not.
it's
days
always
later.
it's always
Well,
Tuesday.
they even said on Sunday it'd be Tuesday.
Yep. We'll find
Um,
out tomorrow.
If it was just the Logano deal, I say you let it ride, man. Yeah, it was shitty, but you know what? I got to win a
Let him
race.
figure it out.
I'm going to move him.
And then
but-
add in that his spotter said wreck him.
Well, his spotter can get suspended. His spotter can get fined.
Okay, if you were talking to me on the radio and you were yelling wreck him, and I didn't,
I'd have told you that a couple of
wreck
times. in
him,
your
and I did,
career.
who's at fault?
I
Ultimately,
screamed you to
Dillon
wreck 'em.
was driving that car.
Yes.
Dillon was
is the one
driving
who
that
had
car.
his
yeah,
Dillon
it's
is the
always
one who
going to
had
be
his
always
hands
going
on
to
the
be
steering
driver's
wheel.
responsibility.
Like I
Yep.
said, the man was going for a win. He was excited, anxious. Obviously, he had a
Doesn't
shitty
make it
restart.
okay.
It doesn't make it okay, no, but it does it happen on a weekly basis down there in NASCAR? The leaders get taken out on the last lap, last corner. Absolutely.
Did you guys listen to the interview that I posted with Denny Hamlin, where Denny Hamlin sat there and said, "This is starting to trickle down into the lower levels of racing."
But that's nothing
And
new.
when we were racing,
The
Razz,
lower
when we
levels
were
have been
racing,
like that
how
for a
many times
while.
did we hear? How many
Yeah.
times did we hear?
See the
Oh
truck
well,
series.
NASCAR doesn't do that. NASCAR
Yeah.
does this. NASCAR doesn't do that.
See the truck series for lower levels.
Huh?
See the truck series for how lower levels are racing, because they race like
Yeah.
assholes.
But I
They
mean,
do.
it's getting to a point where you're at the local tracks. They're saying, "Well, NASCAR does it, so that makes it okay."
No, I
Just
think
like
NASCAR.
movie.
I think NASCAR's in a box. I think they have to do something.
They have to.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
like Thomas said, he gets to keep the win. He's scored as the race winner, but you're no longer playoff qualified. You lose all your points, and oh, by the way, we're going to find you some cash.
Equal to what the winnings were?
Well, you
I
don't
don't
get
be that high.
you don't get the winnings.
Yeah.
You don't get the winnings. You don't get the points. You don't get the playoff berth. Slide your ass back to 32nd where your team belongs.
And let's just say I would hate to be that spotter this morning because I'm sure Pop called him into the office and had a discussion with him.
Well, here's the thing, man. If you go back through history, Pop's kind of a dirty racer, kind of always has been.
Hey, I think
Oh,
the number
yeah.
3 car came out of Richard Childress' garage a bunch of times and was pretty controversial. And he
Yeah,
happens to be
no,
my favorite NASCAR driver of all time.
no,
I didn't mean to wreck him. I just wanted to rattle his cage.
Hey,
Richard
Terry
Childress
Labonte,
is a racer. He was racing cars before Dale Earnhardt ever came along, and he has kind of always been that guy who's okay with racing dirty. All right,
Yeah.
And he needs it for sponsors too. That's not.
Well, yeah, it's a big deal for sponsors between
To have wins.
if you're not just win but now playoff qualified.
Mhm.
That's a huge deal for sponsors. But you got to give them props though. They were fast. They were the class of that field.
Yeah.
They legitimately were probably going to have a win had Ricky Reckhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece hadn't got together with 1 or 2 to go.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot take that away from him. He drove around Logano, he drove around Hamlin, and he was driving away. He was gonna win that race.
And then the last thing I'll say about that race is that they need to throw the prime tires in the garbage and run nothing but the reds.
Yes.
Well, I like having the strategy, just like NASCAR officiating had a win this week. I saw where the teams are going to be allowed when to take the wets off. Not wait till a caution. We'll all do it together. Kumbaya. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Let's have some strategy. You think you can take the wets off? Put the slick on. Go for it.
Well, I'm
What
not a
happens?
fan
What
of
happens?
I'm not a fan of the competition caution in NASCAR any damn way.
I'm not a fan of the stage break. Award the points. Let them keep racing.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, go
But
back to
TV
old
wants
school
it, and well,
racing.
TV brings the money.
Yeah, it's
When
all
the
about
green
TV.
flag drops, the first one to the checkered flag wins. The stage
Just like
racing
I'm
and all this is
I don't like this whole championship runoff.
But I mean,
right.
My favorite
I
guy
know-
was Gordon. He would have had like 4 more if they didn't have this whole championship thing.
the worst part about being a Jeff Gordon fan? Having to
Okay.
explain to your parents that you're never mind. I'll get in trouble for that.
Hold off there. Hold off there. All right, we beat this
but
pavement shit to the bone.
Well,
Can we
and
get back
one
to
last
dirt racing or what?
one last thing on that. I thought it was pretty impressive when Daniel Suarez put the option tire on and drove through the field, and it made his race. He ran up front the rest of the night.
He went from 19 seconds back to 6 seconds back by the end of it.
He took the lead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, at the very end, with like whatever it was, 20 to go, he put the red tires on. He went from 19 seconds back and drove up to 6 seconds back when the caution was thrown.
Well, but he and Michael McDowell were the first to put the reds on at the first stage break and drove through the field. Everybody else had the yellows on. And I thought that was pretty impressive. You guys are racing this weekend at Verona, right?
Yes,
Pure
we
stock
are.
car. Sport mods or not.
Yeah, Sober's going to get back out there in pure stock and run with Brandon and I.
Well,
No,
so
it's
here's the
not.
thing. Here's a little insight for you guys. That car was originally built to be a track day car for veterans. So I've already offered a ride to one of my active duty brothers to go ride in it this weekend. He was supposed to race
Nice.
it last weekend. His back was hurt, so he wasn't able to do it, but I'm honoring it by letting him do it this weekend, even though I'm not racing. So I'll still be there. I'll be pitting the car, helping him out, that kind of stuff, but I will not be driving it.
Can you bring some
By the way-
Blue Mountains?
You don't want to know a great way to guarantee the race car will get destroyed and wrecked? Put it on the track put it on the track with a for sale sign on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have we seen it?
Yep.
Just about
I won't
every
do
time
that.
I've seen a car with a for sale sign on it.
But he will be at the track on Friday, hot lapping the car for practice, and then I'll also bring the sport mod for practice on Friday. So I will get some seat time.
And I already gave Soper a heads up. I'm putting a door on the guy because he's never been in a race car, and the only way to get over your fear of getting in a wreck is somebody dooring you down the straightaway.
Don't do that, you turd.
Bridger, I was nice to you last race. I could have ran you over a handful of times, and I
I
opted
couldn't
not
see
to.
because you were behind me.
You can't see anyways. You're old.
Christina,
All
next time show them where
Damn
to
it.
lift.
This is starting to circle the drain. Let's call it a night.
It is.
Right.
This,
Yeah.
It is.
this
And
was
Phil's getting
fun.
tired.
This was fun. Let's
Yeah,
do it
I got to
again
get
next-
up in 4 hours.
Let's
Woo-hoo.
let's,
Sounds like a you
let's do it again
problem.
next week.
I got to
All
go
right.
run a
Yeah.
PRT tomorrow.
So until next week, keep your sliders clean, and make sure your shorts match.
And pull the belts tight one last time.
All right,
Hell
guys.
yeah.
All right. Night, guys.